Today, we're diving into a philosophical text with well, let's just say a pretty radical perspective on something we experience every single moment, our own bodies. We're going to be exploring a teaching from the Maharatnakuta Sutra that takes one of the most fundamental human habits, our attachment to ourselves, and confronts it head-on with a method that is as shocking as it is profound. But let's start with a question for you. Just imagine for a second. You had it all. The wealth, the power, all the possessions you could ever dream of. Now, after that initial thrill wore off, what would you be left with? What would you still be searching for? Because that exact feeling, that dilemma, is what kicks off the entire text we're looking at today. So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll get into the story of these wealthy elders and their big question. Then we'll look at the Buddha's diagnosis, which he follows up with some pretty intense shock therapy. After that, and this is so important, we'll uncover the surprising goal behind this whole method. And finally, we'll tie it all together and see what it means for us in our lives today. Okay, so let's get right into the story. It all starts with a group of elders back in ancient India. And these weren't just your average folks. Think of them as the top 1% of their time. I mean, these guys had literally everything money could buy. They were at the absolute peak of material success, and yet they felt this deep sense that something crucial was missing. They had this realization that all of their stuff wasn't the point, and that the opportunity for real liberation, for true freedom from suffering, now that was a treasure far rarer than gold. So they go to the Buddha, and they ask this incredibly deep question. They're not asking for more wealth or more power. They're asking, how do we actually learn, live, and practice the path to enlightenment? And this single question really sets the stage for everything that's about to unfold. In the Buddha's response, it's immediate, it's direct. He doesn't offer them some gentle, feel-good answer. Nope. He basically performs a kind of spiritual surgery, pointing right to the root cause of their, and, our, dissatisfaction. He tells them the fundamental problem is attachment, this clinging, this grasping we do, especially to our bodies, our lives, our possessions. This is the engine that drives negative karma. It's what generates the consequences of our actions, and ultimately, it's what leads to all our suffering. What a powerful and straight-to-the-point diagnosis, right? He then lays out these two very clear paths. On one side, you have attachment. You cling to the self, and that road leads straight to suffering. But on the other side, you have non-attachment. And what's so fascinating is that this path doesn't lead to just not caring. It actually opens you up to a profound sense of compassion for everyone and ultimately to liberation. The choice he presents is incredibly stark. So naturally, the elders ask, okay, but how? We are attached to our bodies and our stuff. How do we actually let that go? And this, right here, is where the teaching takes a truly shocking turn. The Buddhist prescription is, well, it's anything but gentle. He prescribes this powerful mental exercise. He tells them to systematically observe the body, but not as a source of pleasure or identity. He tells them to examine its unlimited faults. Now, let's be really clear. This is not about self-hatred. It's a cognitive technique, a mental tool designed to dismantle this deeply ingrained habit of seeing the body as some solid, permanent me that we have to protect and cling to. And his method is not subtle at all. The metaphors he uses are just so vivid and visceral. He tells them to see the body as a pit of poisonous snakes, or a decaying, crumbling house, or a tree on a riverbank just about to fall into the water. I mean, these images are designed to be psychological wrecking balls, aimed right at our vanity. And this isn't just a few poetic ideas he's tossing out. The text meticulously lists a total of 44, that's right, 44 different ways to contemplate the body's impermanent and unsatisfactory nature. This is a deep, systematic, and incredibly thorough mental training program. The core point is just driven home with quotes like this one. And yeah, it's intentionally jarring. The whole goal is to cut through that surface-level arrogance that comes from identifying with how we look, and to force us to see the biological reality humming along just beneath that polished surface we show to the world. Okay, I know. This all sounds incredibly grim, right? But it is absolutely crucial to understand the purpose behind all this deconstruction because it's profoundly positive and altruistic. This isn't about destroying the self. It's about building something so much bigger in its place. The logic flows just like this. First, you use these powerful observations to really see the body's fleeting, transient nature. Second, doing this practice naturally starts to loosen that tight, clenched grip of self-attachment. And you know what rushes in to fill that space? That's step 3, great compassion. When you're less obsessed with your own little world, you suddenly have this huge capacity to care deeply for everyone else who is stuck in the exact same boat.
And this, really, is the ultimate point of the entire teaching. This intense deconstruction is not an exercise in self-loathing. It is a strategic dismantling of the ego to make room for a boundless love and compassion for everyone else. It's like you're tearing down the tiny house of the self to build a palace big enough for the whole world.
So let's bring this ancient lesson right here into the 21st century. The elders back then, they were attached to their physical bodies, their gold. What are we attached to today? The exact same principles apply, but the objects of our attachment, they've definitely evolved. I mean, think about it. The body we cherish and defend today might be our perfectly curated online persona, right? It could be our job title, our career achievements, our political tribe, or even the brands we use to define who we are. These are all the modern conceptual selves that we cling to just as tightly as those elders clung to their physical forms. And you know what? They're just as impermanent and they cause us just as much suffering. This teaching is just so timeless. This quote right here could have been written yesterday about the stock market or about influencer culture. It points out that we get tricked by these illusions, these fleeting forms of wealth, status, and identity, and it asks that piercing question, what reality is actually there? And that really leaves us with the final thought to take away from all this. This ancient text isn't just some history lesson. It's a mirror for our own minds. In our modern world, with its endless distractions and things to cling to, the question isn't just for some wealthy elders who lived long ago. It's for each and every one of us, right now. What is the body that you are truly attached to? And what could you build in its place?